but that led to the breakdown of my business. It probably partially led to the breakdown of my marriage. And it really dictated my life for a long time was being that nice guy. And ultimately that led that, it's only when you're able to look back and you can connect the dots. Okay, now that makes sense. Now that makes sense. Like I was meant to go through all this like fucking torture to be on the path I am now, right? Where I'm fortunate enough to use everything that I have learned to essentially heal myself.
Inevitably, men hit a wall sometime in their life, whether that's career or business that's stagnating, a marriage that's flatlined, or our personal goals and ambitions just seem too far away from ever seeing the light of day. And this all leads to one common problem. We have lost meaning and purpose in our lives. So what does it take to move from survival to awakening? This is the answer we look to explore in today's episode with the co-founder of the Awakened Man Project. Now, before we get into that, we all know that being a man today has never been more challenging. And so the pain for us is real. It's a pain of loneliness and unworthiness, and it's masked by our anger and our resentment, all because we are uncertain and afraid to take that next step. So if you're tired and fed up with where your life is at, then I encourage you to start your hero's quest, where you can become more, accomplish more, and live more than ever before. Go to membersawakenman.net and start your quest today. With that, let's get on with today's episode.
The average man today is sleepwalking through life, many never reaching their true potential, let alone ever crossing the finish line to living a purposeful life. Yet, the hunger still exists, albeit buried amidst his cluttered mind, misguided beliefs, and values that no longer serve him. It's time to align yourself for greatness. It's time to become a revolutionary man. Stay strong, my brother.
Welcome, everyone, to the Revolutionary Man Podcast. I'm the founder of the Awakened Man Movement and your host, Alain Dumonceaux. Before we get started, let me ask you a couple of questions. Does your life have meaning and purpose? And if not, do you have a plan for reclaiming it? These two questions are so critical for us to get clear on. And without clarity and patience, achieving our life's mission is highly unlikely. Well, today, my guest has a few ideas on what it's going to take to get clear on your mission and what it means to build an unshakable character. So allow me to introduce my guest. From picked on to pro athlete to serial entrepreneur, Pete Taylor built a 7-figure business, dozens of employees, model wife, Rolex watches, cars and homes in the country, but left all of this to follow his own hero's journey and second mountain, building a company of guys to help him and then stop playing at a level 4 when they know that they have a level 10 in the bag. Pete is a father, mentors to founders from 7 to 8 figures, and coaches to build resilience, discipline, and character forging. Welcome to the show, Peter. How are things today, brother?
Good, Alan. Pleasure to be here. We do similar lines of work, so it's always good to be talking to people that are on the path of helping other guys, right, and getting them to reach their potential. I love and I live this work.
Yeah, absolutely. As we were getting onto the show, I was just talking about how similar our work is. And even though you're on another side of the world, there's so much of this work that needs to be done. And I think there's lots of room for all of us to be able to slide into this piece and find our niche and work with those gentlemen to raise the standards that they live in. And today I want to talk, hopefully we can talk a little bit more about your personal hero's quest or your hero's journey. So tell us a little bit more about that transition from personal success to really a role of servant leadership and in starting the Awakened Man Project, and how that experience has shaped you into the man you are today and that work that you're doing.
Yeah, do you know, I was reading only a couple of days ago and I read a term about men, and it can be confusing for men in today's world, as a lot of societal expectancy on a guy is for him to be nice and is for him to be agreeable and for him to not step into anger, not step into his emotions, right? And I read that and I thought, flipping hell, that was me for a very, very long time. I was the nice guy. In fact, I prided myself on being the nice guy. Like I had that, I don't know whether you heard that saying that like good guys finish last, but they don't, they finish first, they come first, the good guys come first, right? And I was always like, the nice guy, I am the nice guy, and one day I will come first, right? And I had that narrative in my head for so freaking long, but that led to the breakdown of my business. It probably partially led to the breakdown of my marriage, and it really dictated my life for a long time was being that nice guy. And ultimately that led that, it's only when you're able to look back and you can connect the dots. Okay, now that makes sense. Now that makes sense. Like, I was meant to go through all this like fucking torture to be on the path I am now, right? Where I'm fortunate enough to use everything that I have learned to essentially heal myself to now help other guys do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it takes that, we come to that precipice in life, right? Or that fork in that road where we have to make really challenging choices. And sometimes as nice guys, we choose not to do that. And instead we will acquiesce and give into even more, thinking that the more that we give, then the more that we receive. And while there's some truth to that axiom, I really believe that when we do that to a fault, then we stop doing the things that are critical for us, and that's taking care of ourselves. And I know, looking at researching your history a bit, you were in bodybuilding and doing that work, and so that really required a set of discipline. And I noticed you guys in one of your podcasts, you talked with two of your other mates about these 3 different kinds of discipline, and I wonder if we could talk a little bit about them and share with how that has changed your life as well.
Yeah, like discipline is it should be a core character trait of any man. And for him to really lean into harnessing that, like a man who is well disciplined, like if puts his mind to something, he can achieve something. Ultimately, it's doing the painful stuff you don't want to do, right? And when I work with guys, I look at 3 types of discipline. So there's like 3 levels to it. So level number 1 is structural discipline. This came very, very naturally to me. I'm a systems guy. I'm an operations guy. I like protocols. I like processes. So being able to have structural discipline, which is it's your routines, it's your habits, it's your processes. It's the things that you can rely on so you don't go off track. It's your rules, right? So like an easy way to describe a structural discipline is to have a morning routine. Right, we've all heard about the morning routines, but that's you put multiple structures into your day, but an easy one is a morning routine. I follow this discipline. I get out of bed at this time. I go to the gym at this time. I eat this at this time. I process this at this time, and then you can build structure around that. Makes sense?
Yeah, totally, absolutely. And we do talk a lot about structure, about morning routine or a structural discipline. And I guess what the thought that was going through my mind is, do we spend any time reviewing of what that looks like? Because I think for a lot of us, we think that, well, I have a morning routine, but is it its service to what it is that we're trying to accomplish? And so is there intention behind it? I guess what I'm saying, and I think that's really what you're really saying to us or telling us, is that morning routine or that structural discipline has intention behind it. Would that be a true statement?
It is, and I will get onto that. That actually forms one of the other disciplines. But I think, and this is an important thing to think about, and this is where a lot of guys mess up, is that we'll try to make it perfect. So it's like having the perfect routine, having the perfect day, having the perfect plan. Guys, there is no perfect plan. Do you know what? I can't remember who said this. It was like a sergeant, and he was like, a good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow, right? Because the perfect plan tomorrow is tomorrow, but it's not tomorrow. It's Monday, and then it's next Monday, and then it's right. So my advice there is to always just to start. And we have this saying that it's never about the how. It's always, the answer is always yes, and it's always about the who. This is who you become. It's never about the how. It's always the who, right? So the second type of discipline here, which is a little bit harder to master, this is called reactive discipline. This is where you think about moment to moment. This is the moment between a stimulus and a response, and between a stimulus and a response, there's a gap. There is a moment there, and in that moment, in that gap, you have a choice. And this is, Viktor Frankl said this, and this is man's greatest freedom, is that within that moment, he has the choice to choose his attitude. So you can respond or you can react. You can fall into victimhood, or you can take ownership. So moment to moment to moment, we make a choice. This is called reactive discipline. And the more aware you are of what you're doing moment to moment to moment to moment is where you can start picking up, hang on a minute. I've spotted, like, every time my wife does this, I get triggered and my emotions raise and my anger raise. And in those moments, I do things that I regret. I'm going to make a change there. That keeps happening over and over and over. Right. So how can I change my response in that moment?
I love that. Because one of the things that it really goes back, and like you said, these disciplines are building on one on top of another. And what I liked about how the direction that we're going is that what we're really starting to say is that we need to take responsibility for our lives. And the more that we do that, then we can build in different kinds of discipline. And I always say that men are ready to change when they're ready to take responsibility in 3 areas of their life. The first is for where they are. Because let's face it, where we are today is based on all our thoughts, words, and actions that we've taken. So if we want something different in life, then we need to assess that journey that we've been on. So take responsibility where we are. Take responsibility for who we are. And that's what we're starting to talk about now. So obviously there's parts of me that needs work. So who am I and what am I doing to change that world? And one of the things that we ask them to do here at our work is to complete this sentence. I'm the kind of man who. And whatever you put after that, however you complete that sentence, really says a lot about your intention, about who you are as an individual. And finally, the last one is you take responsibility for who you aspire to become. And when we do that, then you're living in that moment. It's not a future state that, well, someday I'm going to get there. It's about living it today in the moment and being present and really taking and using that discipline that you're talking about, that reactive discipline, and choosing how we wish to respond to life as opposed to having it dictate our lives for us. So I really like the direction that you're going.
Yeah, that last one that you just said there, who do I aspire to be? That leads on nicely to the third discipline. Third discipline is called expansive discipline. This is difficult. This is level 3. This is the hardest level to accomplish. Expansive discipline is in the moment that we've just spoken about, in that where we can be reactive or responsive. In that moment, we choose to expand. We choose not to make the comfortable decision, the decision that's going to keep us safe. We actively choose to make an expansive decision that's going to grow our life, that's going to push us forward, that is the power move, moment to moment to moment to moment, right? And so this is where you become like that 2.0 version, that level 10 version of you. And the way I like to frame this is, who are you in 5 years' time? Like, who's that guy? Who is that fucking man that's got high standards, got high values, that he is top 1%? How does he make a decision? How does he think? How does he act? You can get into that frame of mind that this is the guy that's 5 years on from where you are now. And then moment to moment to moment, you make those expansive decisions. Life changes.
100% it would, because you're thinking at a different level of the challenge that we're being faced. And so it thinks back. I want to pry a little bit more into a bit of your past and your history. And I want to talk a little bit about, now, how did these happen for you? How did this shape for you? Because you talked about in this last discipline, this expansive discipline, about really that decision to be, whether to play it safe or whether to choose maybe more challenging, more difficult. And so unpack that a little bit for us. And maybe it's some of the work of the men that you're working with, that why is it we get stuck in this mode of playing it safe instead of reaching for something that's truly inside of us and revealing it to the world?
It's just the way of our ancestors. It's like back in the day, we were chased by lions and wolves and whatever. And so there's still a lot of that in our lizard brain that wants to keep us safe, that wants to just keep us nice and secure and not necessarily step into fear. And absolutely childhood traumas, like societal traumas when we're growing up as children, things would have affected us. And then we would have had trauma from that, which would then evoke some sort of internal fear, internal resistance, and then that internal resistance then dictates our actions, right? So that there's absolutely all these things at play, and that our brain will just want to keep us safe. Like, I just like to look at that as it's a barometer. When my brain is saying, no, Pete, don't get out of bed, it's cold, it's it's 5 a.m, mate. Just chill. It's still dark outside. Like, because it's so comfortable just to stay in bed at that time. But I know that I know for one, I will regret not getting out of bed, which again is a pointer for me. But I also know that I need to push into that, and it's the same all the way through to I just need to have a hard conversation with my business partner, right? That's scary, and especially if you've got abandonment issues, which I certainly did for a long time. I lost my best friend in a car accident when I was 25 years old. He was 25 years old too, and I didn't know at the time. But once I've done a like therapeutic work and figured a few things out, I had this huge like fear of abandonment because my best friend had, in my mind, essentially just left me, right? And so I had this fear for years and years about having real hard conversations with people in case they too left me, right? So and that's one particular trauma. There's plenty of traumas that you can dig into around worthiness and abandonment and so on and so on that will affect us guys, and then we don't necessarily make the power moves and the bigger expansive moves because we've got this resistance inside of us.
100%. And thank you so much for sharing that, Peter, because I think it's important that we, think back of types of work and the businesses you've done, 7-8-figure businesses, like the accoutrements of success will look like, yet we still have parts of our lives, parts of our past that we do tend to pull us back or keep us in that safe space as we were just talking about. And so that really, leads me, I wanted to talk also a little bit about self-sabotage, because I think that's in those moments really when we're talking about this expansive discipline that we can tend to self-sabotage ourselves, right? Because I always call that the killer of dreams. And in your work, you talk about there being two different kinds of self-sabotage. There's the conscious kind and the unconscious. And so I thought we'd unpack that a little bit. You get into why do men self-sabotage, and maybe we can give them a tool or a strategy to help them push through that or raise that level.
I have a fantastic resource on this at .com. And it's a 7-part audio series on self-sabotage, and we talk through some tools. And one of the best tools I ever learned here was name it to tame it. Is because the more work that you do on yourself, the more aware you become of your train of thoughts and how you react and how you think. And why you think that way, the more you can delve into that, the more you become aware of when the self-saboteur comes up, when he pops up, when he tries to mess up your day. And you might think that you're on each other's side, that you're buddies, but you're not. Barry Michaels and Phil Stutt, very famous psychotherapists who do the therapy with the A-listers and Jay-Z and Jeff Bezos and so forth. Done a fantastic documentary on Netflix called Stutz with Jonah Hill. It's an amazing documentary. And in that documentary and in the work that they do, they have coined self-sabotage. They've called it Part X. And Part X is here to mess us up. Part X is here to pop up. So here's a nice example is the getting out of bed in the morning to go to the gym. So I've told myself the night before, Pete, you're going to go to the gym in the morning. And then when it gets to 5 o'clock in the morning, when it's cold outside, it's still dark because we're in London, UK. And my alarm goes off and the Part X says to myself, Pete, stay in bed, mate. You've already trained already. You trained 3 times this week already. You could probably do with a rest. You could probably do a day off. You deserve it. Done well, mate. Stay in bed. Couple more hours more sleep, right? You can train tomorrow. Here's what happens. I listen to Part X and I go, yeah, he's right, actually. Because it's me talking to myself, but yeah, he's right. I'll stay in bed. Stay in bed for another 2 hours. So get out of bed at 7. I feel a little bit groggy. That's all right. Get on with my day. Maybe have a coffee. 8 o'clock, I'm pissed off. 8 o'clock, I'm like, fuck, Pete, what? Why didn't I just go to the gym? I know every time I get up at 5 and I'm in the gym by 5:15 that I feel really good. Like I paid my dues. My energy is high. I'm working on my physique. I'm working. It's time for myself as well. Like I've had time to think. Maybe I've even listened to a podcast. Maybe I've even done like an hour's worth of personal development in that time as well. Right. But now I've missed it. Pete, you an idiot. Pete, why'd you do that? So that's Part X. Part X, not only did he want to keep me safe, a couple of hours later, he's calling me an idiot. So now he's downgrading me. Right. This happens. It's a really easy one to talk about, is the going to the gym, because I think so many guys can relate to that. But this happens everything that we do, the conversations with our wife, the conversations with our colleagues or our teams, the big power moves, I've just been given this business opportunity. Nah, I wouldn't go for that, Pete. This sounds crap. You're doing all right as you are, mate. You're doing all right. Stick with what you're doing, right? Normally I find, like I said earlier with the barometer, is that when an opportunity comes up and Part X is trying to talk me out of it, I need to think about why he's talking me out of it, and really assess that. Maybe the business opportunity isn't right. Maybe I've got a lot going on and actually I shouldn't go ahead with that. But because he's telling me not to go ahead with it, I should really assess that and figure out whether that is the right thing to do or not.
Yeah, I love that idea and what you're talking about. And it's so true that the physical aspect, our getting to the gym and taking care of ourselves, is one of those ones that a lot of us struggle with. All of us struggle with that. And what I like about what you're saying is, as well as that, is just I hope that everyone picked that up. It's just the tone of voice of Part X is never a kind one, is it? It starts out that way, but it's actually quite insidious. And then it gets worse from there. And, the other I think about is we talk to ourselves like we would never talk to a friend. And when we can recognize that the tone and the quality of how that voice is inside of us is speaking to us, we can recognize that this is not serving us for our highest and best good. It's serving us to protect us, because it's truly the ego that is afraid, that doesn't think that we can make it. And when we truly understand that we have more within us, then we can push through that. And I think that it's true in a lot of those conversations, like you said, the conversation with our spouses and having those difficult conversations. And I think that's just key for us as men as we grow, is to learn how to lean into that and get away from having the safe conversations and being able to have opinions about things, about sharing what is truly important to us from an emotional perspective, as well as a personal. What do we value and are willing to stand up for? And when we can do that, I think we find a sense of freedom. At least that's my experience, that when I do stand up and say what's truly in my heart and what I believe, then I have a sense of freedom, even though it's uncomfortable in the moment. Moments after are much more expansive. Do you find that similar in your life as well?
Men need growth. We, like, as mammals, as the beings that we are, we respond. We are goal-driven animals, and we're being goal-driven. That means pushing forward. That means growing. That does not mean going backwards. Going after a goal does not mean going backwards. We are goal-driven beings. Therefore, we always need to be moving forward. And moving forward takes discomfort. It is uncomfortable. It's typically painful, whether that's emotionally or physically. What Part X wants us to do is to stay comfortable. Is to not move forward. Is to stand still. But the thing is, we can never stand still. You can never stand in the same place. You're only ever going backwards, or you're going forwards. It's as simple as that. And the bigger issue here, which is why there are so many men with anxiety and depression and suicidal ideation, because men play it safe, we take a step back. So on the point scale, we might start at 0, and then because in that moment we didn't have the hard conversation, or we didn't get out of bed and go and train, or we ate the pack of cookies rather than eating the chicken and rice, whatever that looked like. We played it safe, and we take a step back. So we're now, minus 0.1, right? Yeah. And then we make another decision later that day where it's not growth orientated, it's safety. We take another step back. So now it's minus 0.2, right? And then, but for us to get back up to 0, we now need to start making growth decisions. And the problem here is it's because it's so easy to make safe decisions, because it feels nice. It's easier to sit and watch Netflix for 3 hours than it is to actually have meaningful conversations with the people around us, or to go and start the side hustle, or to go and train, or to, whatever that looks like, to make a power move that, consciously you should be making, you just can't be asked right now. But the more of these decisions that we make that takes us backward, that's when we slip into anxiety. That's when we slip into depression. That's when we slip into these disorders that really fuck men up, and then puts our suicide rate up higher, because we keep making those comfortable decisions.
Absolutely. And then to the detriment of our overall being. And I just want to I would like to summarize what you just said there. I hope everyone listening to this podcast picked that up. Peter just shared with us an excellent, simple tool that we can use on a day-to-day basis. And what you said was that for every poor decision that we make, a decision that takes us backwards, we take a -1 or a minus 0.1. And then for every good decision in the day, we give ourselves a plus 0.1. And if we did that and we thought at the end of the day, or as the day is going along, and took that scale and measured it, what are the things that I decided today? Well, I decided to eat some fast food, not once, but twice. I didn't go to the gym. We can start to see that daily in our decision-making process, just how it is that we're self-sabotaging ourselves. And so what a fantastic tool that you just shared with us. And I think that it's so simple that that anyone can put that into practice. It's a matter of what you're really talking about is being conscious and being awakened. And that's what I love about the work that you're doing. And so let's dive a little bit into the philosophy of the Awakened Man Project. And I noticed that your program guides men through a science-based, really backed with your real world experience, but you take guys through a process that starts with survival and stability, evolution, and awaken. So tell us a little bit more about this process that you take men through, and what are an outcome that they can look to achieve from going through it.
The survival to stability to evolution to awaken is actually based off of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So it's his famous pyramid, and we've put our own spin on that. So my business partner Yazin, who co-runs the program, he's doing his PhD in positive psychology. He's a training psychotherapist. He's built a very, 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 very big business. He's in his second like mountain of life, so to speak. And he's very much a scientist. So like everything that we do is like, right, well, like what's the science saying around this, and let's make sure that this is well researched, and that we can then apply that to the guys that we're working with. But like, and when guys come into our world, we'll assess them. So they'll go through scorecards, and the scorecards are very, very in depth, and it will ask them questions all the way from their health all the way through to, are you addicted to porn? And it's very, very detailed. And then we'll be able to get a marker as to where they are, and through that marker we can look at that and go, okay, well, here's some really quick wins, because they may actually be in evolution in certain areas of their life, but in 20% of their life, but 80% of their life actually is really instability, or it's in survival. Like they have not got their health at all under wrap. Like that is not in a good position. And there's an easy thing for us to go and look at and help them fix that, and then start putting the knocks up. So, and then we'll get the guys to assess themselves through our scorecards regularly, so we can see the improvements. So it's very, very data driven.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually did, in preparing for the show, I actually went through your scorecard, because I'm always interested to see how other men are doing this work and putting it together. And when I saw that your business partner was a neuroscientist, I thought this is going to be something that's going to be pretty impactful. And I have to tell the audience, it is the best scorecard that I've seen. And there's lots of different ways to assess where we are in life, but I thought the work that your team has done in putting this together is phenomenal. And what I truly appreciate about it is that you do take, while it's a holistic look at all of our lives, it also gives us enough of a view that we can focus on one aspect, that we may have parts of our lives that we are at a different level. And those generally are the parts that I would suggest that we enjoy doing. And so we have more energy and time for that. And it's the areas that we tend to dismiss in our lives that needs a bit of that work. And I thought, I just wanted to mention that I think, if there's anything for folks to do out of taking from this call, definitely to using that scorecard to get an assessment to see where you're at in life. And I thought the tool was phenomenal. So well done for you guys. What's the most powerful question that you've ever been asked, Peter? It's the one that's really changed the direction of your life.
Oh, that is a good question. It wasn't actually that long ago either. It was in Dubai about a month ago. And I'm going through some big changes right now. I'm going through a divorce. And so I have a young boy. So there's a lot of change. We've got a fantastic business with the Awakened Man. It's doing phenomenally well. And I was speaking to my business partner, and he really put me on the spot in saying, what if something was to happen to your ex-partner? Or no, sorry. What if something was to happen to you, as in me, and I was to disappear? What would happen to Leo? Would he be truly, truly looked after? Would everything be in place to ensure that his life would thrive with you not around? And it really got me like, okay, it really got me thinking. And like, I've got some great foundations in place, but what it just made me think a little bit differently around, am I really showing up as to who I should be right now? Am I really showing up to my level 10? Or am I playing at level 7? Because it got me. I'm like, right. And actually, I've made some big decisions since that conversation, because it just pushed me along. It's just like, right, I actually need to start thinking bigger here. I need to play some bigger moves.
Wow, that is incredible to hear you say that, and the success that you're having with your work. And yes, you're going through a season of life right now that needs more attention. And yet to think about that, you still have bigger moves to do. And so appreciate you sharing that with us. And
that's do you know what it's like? I've learned this word recently. It's called hedonic adaptation. It's like when you get to a certain level, it becomes your new baseline and it becomes your norm, right? And so which is it's important why that we should practice gratitude so we can always be grateful for our next moves. But that is the guy that I am, and I'm very proud of that, is that I will always be pushing for the next level. And I don't think I'll ever settle. And that keeps my drive. Yeah. Like every day to me is so freaking exciting. I wake up in the morning, I just don't know what's going to happen today. It's incredibly exciting, because the way I think, I will keep pushing for more, as well as, but push for more but having long-term gratification, so delayed gratification, but at the same time, reactive, moment to moment. Well, I'm so freaking grateful for what I've got going on.
Man, just love that. That's so powerful. Outstanding. Obviously, I'll suggest that you've read a few books in your life, and so, but currently book is sitting on your nightstand. And if you happen to be in between books right now, what's one book that really also helps shaped who you are today?
I have loads of books going on. I have so many books going on at the moment, and I'm a big reader. I'm a big listener. I have been for a long, long time. What I have just reread recently was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It is one of the most powerful books any man could read. And the second book that I'm going deeper with is a book called Conscious Unconscious, which is by Catherine Woodward Thomas. I actually have her as a guest coming onto my podcast in a couple of months. It's a fantastic, because I am going through a breakup, I'm going through a divorce. It's a fantastic resource for a step-by-step on really departing from someone, but in a very conscious way, and a very amicable way, and a loving way, not to be at each other's throats. We've got a baby boy. We are going to be in each other's lives for the rest of our life, right? So it's really important to me that we respect. I was with Denise for 6 years, so it's important that we respect the last 6 years and the amazing chapter and the amazing things that we did together. And we're now going to move on with our lives separated, but as co-parents. And so the conscious uncoupling has been very, very powerful in helping me just get through that process in a proactive way, rather than strangling each other, which can go on.
Oh, absolutely. I've been through that journey almost 2 decades, a little more than 2 decades ago. So I totally can relate to the season of life that you're going through right now. And I just know that the type, just from this conversation today, you're the type of man that will thrive through this. Not only will you thrive, but your ex-partner will, and so will your son. So good for you, my friend. You know, of everything that we spoke about today, Peter, maybe there was something we didn't get a chance to touch on. What would be the one thing you'd want our listeners to take away from our conversation?
Just remember that Part X is there to fuck you up. That's what it's there for. And when you and this is the thing, like, there's two things I want to say. Number one is when you regret something, consciously in your gut, I regretted that, whether that's not getting up to go to the gym, or whether that's swearing at your wife or your child, or whether that's just you didn't make the big power move that would have completely changed the trajectory of your life. When you live in regret, do something about it. Not like think about that night. Do something about it. Make sure that same regret doesn't happen again. All right. And then the next thing for us is that we've all got our fears. Everyone's got internal fears and internal resistance. And the only thing that gets us out of this is to just constantly move forward. It's just to constantly, like, in my head, I'm like, I know there's fears, but I kind of deny them. I'm like, no, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. Going to keep moving forward. Going to keep moving forward. And because I'm always moving forward, I'm pretty freaking happy. Like I'm pretty, and even on the days where, it might not be going perfect, I'm still sticking to my protocols. I'm still sticking to my routines and my structural discipline. Because it doesn't matter whether I'm happy or sad. I'm still going to move forward. And if you've got that attitude, you will get places in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Love those two perfect tips to round out our conversation today. So I just want to say once again, thank you so much, Peter, for being on the show and spending time with us today. You've been able to provide us a bit of a roadmap for how we can go from survival to awakening. So if men are interested in getting a hold of you and participating in your work, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, find me personally on Instagram. It's Pete_Taylor. I'm very, very active on there. So Pete_Taylor, or the awakenedman.org website. You can find the scorecard there that Alan spoke about.
Excellent. I'll make sure that information's in the show notes, all of your socials, so people get an opportunity to reach out to you. Once again, my friend, thank you so much for being on the show. Really enjoyed our conversation today.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you for listening to the Revolutionary Man podcast. Are you ready to own your destiny? To become more the man you are destined to be? Join the brotherhood that is The Awakened Man at theawakenedman.net and start forging a new destiny today.